What's up, guys? Have a bit of a sadder version of a video today. For some, it may be sad because Shadow Victreebel is back and you hate him. And for me, it's personally sad due to the fact that I was unable to reach my goal of finishing and ending on the front page of the leaderboards. So this video, I do have gameplay up at the 3,580 mark, which was good for first on the leaderboard as the day that this was recorded, but unfortunately I couldn't stick the landing, and it's unfortunate how I guess one day's worth of poor gameplay can kind of kill all your hopes and dreams about a certain thing. But anyways, don't let me get you down. Let's take a look at this video. There's a lot of new things that I would say this team now has to account for with the Razor Leaf nerfs. So let's get into it. First of all, huge shout out to my Patreon supporters who've been through this with me thick and thin. Could be doing this without you guys. But yeah, let's get into this video a little bit. All right. So first game is versus Shady Asian, fellow Calgarian too. So it's a bit of an exciting game, but I guess albeit a bit of a standard one. I know his team already, so I'll take the duration of this game to kind of talk about this team. And how it's changed a little bit. So this is the team that I've used to great success in the past. Now everyone kind of knows that the Vigoroth is there, and as soon as the Vigoroth comes in, they know there's a Bastiodon, right? So there's no surprises anymore with this team. You kind of just have to outmaneuver them without really surprising them anymore, which is a bit disappointing. So the main thing here is, the main difference is Shadow Victreebel just had Razor Leaf nerfed. So Razor Leaf from, I think it was 11 damage to 10 damage, just a 1 damage nerf, but that makes a pretty big difference against some Pokemon, and especially because it's in the lead in some specific matchups. So some of those Pokemon, they include Glarian Stunfisk, Deoxys Defense, Galvantula, so some very high tier Pokemon that you do see a lot of, and the fact that you now either need both shields in some of these cases, or you can't actually, in all three of those cases, if they have good enough IVs, you can't even win with the 2 shield anymore, right? So that's one of the reasons why I think double Razor Leaf Grasshole is dead, is because you can't guarantee switch advantage with 2 shields against Deoxys Defense if the IVs are good enough, or Glarian Stunfisk if the IVs are good enough, and both those are pretty common in Open Great League. So as this game winds down, I will be pointing out the matchups where it causes you to struggle a little bit more, but besides that, the game plan is generally the same. One thing I will say is that I've been swapping out a little bit less after I win the lead. This is just due to the presence of Glarian Stunfisk. That's the only real way that goes south, is if there's a Glarian Stunfisk in the back and you switch out, then you've lost your Vigoroth, which is your best counter to Glarian Stunfisk. So that's a bit tough, and that's why you have to kind of make a little bit more team reads than you did in the past with this team. But yeah, I'm able to pull this one out by just a hair, but I knew his team from the beginning, so I knew it would kind of shake out like that. When a Skarmory comes in, that's usually a time where I would switch, but because I knew he had a Skarmory and a Glarian Stunfisk in the back, I needed to save my Glarian Stunfisk for that. Alright, so let's start getting into these games. We have an Umbreon lead. This is a horrible lead for this team. Your backline's pretty good against it, but unfortunately, Victreebel can't really do too much. And I've generally been trying to catch the foul play here. It's just 4 snarls. Most of the time, they don't throw it. Honestly, it doesn't really matter if they do or do not. In comes the Jellicent. So, Jellicent, new Pokemon to the meta. Unfortunately, extremely good versus Vigoroth, and okay versus Bastiodon. So, this Jellicent player, Spaghetti, is a very good player. And what they're doing is they're trying to just Bubble Beam me so these Bulldozes don't hit very hard. And they're going to try and end this match with as much energy as possible, so ideally enough for a Bubble Beam and a Shadow Ball combined. And it's not too hard, right? Because Vigoroth can't do any damage, and all the damage it is doing is being resisted. Sorry, it's nerfed as well. So 3 Bubble Beams now, and I switch out with energy and try and snipe that Jellicent. So that's my one win condition there. If I let that Jellicent have its way with Vigoroth and end that matchup with 100 energy, I don't want to have to spend my shields on that. So in this case, the Venusaur is charging way up, and they let me get 2 in another Leaf Blade. So I throw this Leaf Blade, and I'm waiting for them to throw a move because I think I have to make a tough decision here. And no shield to Victreebel. We are going to put it all on the Bastiodon here. Everything's on the Bastiodon to try and win this game, and it's still pretty hard. Luckily, I have a Body Slam stored on Vigoroth. Actually, almost 2 Body Slams. So what I need to do is I need to throw that before they get their move off because they had a move on their Venusaur. And their Jellicent's going to come back in with Bubble Beam once I switch to my Bastiodon. So the reason I switched there instead of letting Vigoroth go down is because if I switch to Bastiodon, now I have a way to clear my debuffs, right? So my Vigoroth is there. I can swap out and clear the debuffs on my Bastiodon. If I let my Vigoroth go down, Bubble Beam stays forever. And this is important, especially because I know his last Pokemon is an Umbreon, right? So incredibly tanky Pokemon. That match is going to last a while. That's going to give me some time to wear down the switch timer. Topic of the previous video. And unfortunately, I CMP tied there. Otherwise, I could have just switch out to my Vigoroth to get this Body Slam off. So this is a bit risky as well because my opponent is going to try and farm me down. But luckily, I have just a little bit more health than is possible to be farmed down, and I'll be able to throw that that Body Slam no problem. And the Jellicent was within 1 hit of KO'd. So yeah, this just shows team can come back from not a great lead and an awful switch. And so this next match here, we actually have a mirror. This is the only mirror I actually faced this whole time. So a little bit of an update how to play the mirror because the Razor Leaf nerf does affect this as well. So one Pokemon that takes a little bit less damage, I think, from Razor Leaf, depending on the IVs, is Shadow Victreebel itself. So you notice as I get to Leaf Blade, we're both still in the green. So I fast move deny here. Normally I would just wait and just try and Razor Leaf all the way down, but you actually get to multiple moves now. So I'm trying to get to that second Leaf Blade, which I do. And getting this Leaf Blade is extremely important. And I'm going to switch to my Vigoroth. But you'll notice the difference is, in this Vigoroth versus Vigoroth matchup, is that I have a 2-shield advantage. So Vigoroth versus Vigoroth with a 2-shield advantage is pretty dominating. I don't know what else to say. Mirror with a 2-shield advantage is pretty huge. And I don't mind spending... Or wait, do I tank this? Okay, I tank this because I will end this with a full Body Slam. And I have a shield still, so my Bastiodon can win that Bastiodon mirror, no problem. Unfortunately, they make a really smart play and go into their own Bastiodon, so this Body Slam won't hurt. And they take my Vigoroth down. So they switch immediately to their Victreebel, but it is too low and actually tanks the Smackdown from my Bastiodon. So all the loaded energy they had, because they were at 2 Leaf Blades, I believe, all goes to waste. Only 1 shield for that as well, so it's very important that I did take out that Victreebel there. I would have been able to sack swap my Victreebel, but I think they realized that at this point the game is over. I have a shield advantage, health advantage, Pokemon advantage, every advantage. So that's how you play the mirror nowadays. Gotta make sure you fast move deny. If you don't fast move deny, you're gonna be in tough water. I guess you can throw Acid Spray as well, but I really don't like throwing Acid Spray. Oh yeah, move sets. I'm running Acid Spray right now. Because I was running it for a Grassful stream before. I don't think it's better. I was just too lazy, and I really don't think the second move matters. Leaf Blade is all you need. So in this case, I'm just going to go straight for the Bulldoze. I think I've learned most people shield the first Bulldoze, so I started going for Body Slam baits. Maybe it was just a particular player I started to. But if they let the Bulldoze through, this matchup isn't all that bad. So with the Abomasnow lead, I have two choices. I can either come in with his Victreebel or this Bastiodon. If I come with Victreebel, they don't get to move. If I come in with Bastiodon, unfortunately, they will get to that move. But I won't be able to farm down this Abomasnow and then bring that energy into something else. So unfortunately, I shield a Weather Ball here. I thought that if they were willing to build up and throw a move at the Bastiodon, that it would probably be an Energy Ball, but they mind game me successfully. So well played to my opponent. At this point, I'm really just watching my switch timer. And I need to be able to switch out of here. So I successfully shield the Hydro Pump, which is huge. If they baited me, I think it's game over. But essentially what I'm going to do here is try to sack my Victreebel. It's Azu. and get a little bit of damage done, right? So if this Azu has to use an Ice Beam, it's not going to be able to make it to a Hydro Pump, which is really the only thing that threatens a Bastiodon on their side. And I'm going to be able to take down their Azu and then their Abomasnow. So being able to watch my switch timer, and the thing is, that was an out of sync switch timer as well. So they couldn't switch to react with that. So at this point, 4-0 in the set, we're going to face 2000 Red. And this is Glarian Stunfisk lead, so it's not too bad of a lead. The problem is, if they have a tanky enough Glarian Stunfisk, which I believe they do, they can get to 3 Rock Slides, and that's just not a winning proposition for Victreebel. So I know they're likely baiting, and this one as well. But it just means, well, actually, no, not that one. Yeah, they don't quite have the defense stats. And honestly, I don't know why I switched out right away versus the Sableye. I probably could have stayed in even and put some more pressure on it with the Victreebel before swapping. In fact, that's almost certainly a better play. But I realized that I didn't want my Bastiodon very healthy for this Galarian Stunfisk. So I'm actually going to end up throwing a Stone Edge here, unfortunately. I would have loved to say bank some energy for this Galarian Stunfisk to come back in. Because if it farms me all the way down, it's gonna be some trouble for sure. So, fill the flamethrower, grab the shield, and pop into my Vigoroth. And the reason I pop into Vigoroth there is because I need to find out what is in the back, and I know my Victreebel can kind of take care of that Galarian Stunfisk, and I can't afford it being farmed down. So Vigoroth is swapped in to kind of draw out whatever's in the back, and Vigoroth has a neutral matchup versus pretty much everything. So this Tropius, for example, is having some issues, and I've kind of worked out how to win this one in my head. Is I need my Bastiodon to finish taking out this Tropius afterwards, and then I need to be able to bring my Victreebel in and take care of the Galarian Stunfisk. So the thing is, the switch timer is up, and my Victreebel really wants them to switch back into Galarian Stunfisk, but unfortunately he throws a Leaf Blade first, or sorry, an Air Slash, and if that Air Slash hadn't gone through, my Victreebel would have been able to live and bring a Leaf Blade into that next matchup as well. So well played to my opponent, but I really should have been able to play around that one a little bit better. Galarian Stunfisk Tropius core is obviously still a bit of a struggle. Okay, so this next game against Bloody Bananas. This is first game in a 2-part. I played him twice within a couple of sets here, and this is when I didn't know the team. So this is just, you'll get to see the difference between when you know a team and when you don't know a team. So I have no clue what this Mew is running. Surf, okay. Could be Surf and Flame Charge or something. It's going to be another Surf. So because I'm forced to spend 2 shields here, and I didn't throw my Leaf Blade, I don't know what I'm doing at this point. And they come in with Altaria. I have so much energy, and it's kind of just wasted if I throw it at Altaria, so I'm forced to switch here. And I'm going to spoil a little bit. We have an Empoleon in the back on Bloody Bananas team, right? So you can see that if I just didn't switch out, and I have this Vigoroth versus Empoleon, and then this Bastiodon versus Altaria, this game goes a lot easier. But unfortunately, Bloody Bananas makes a perfect swap here, and is able to farm down exactly to a Hydro Cannon or Jolpeck, which means my Victreebel can't come in. I try anyways, because it's my only play. I can't come in with Bastiodon because I absolutely need it for Altaria. But in hindsight, I probably should have Acid Spray here. But they can switch out as well. It is kind of tough. My other option would have been to just switch immediately and try and catch a Drillpeck, switch into Victreebel, and then switch right away again. That didn't happen, so unfortunately I'm going to lose this almost unlosable game just because I didn't know what was in the back, right? And yeah, I throw a Stone Edge, which also does less damage, so this is called Tilt. I'm just doing everything wrong here. Flamethrower is definitely the move, and unfortunately, even the dominating matchup, Bastiodon versus Altaria, is not enough on this day to get this win. Yeah, a lot of these mistakes here. It's pretty. Honestly, it's pretty tough watching some of these games back. I know I could have played better, and just playing that 1 game or 2 games of difference, that could have been front page leaderboard, right? Because if I had made it to a specific position, I probably would not have, or I would have just stopped playing instead of having that disaster Sunday, bloody Sunday as they call it. So they try and get to a move on their Politoed, and they don't. So this game is essentially over. Sorry, there's not much to comment about this one. They tried to get to that Earthquake, and I think they were just there as they went down. And I'm swapping my Vigoroth into a Abomasnow, they're not switching out. So this is a pretty bad sign for them. I don't even really feel the need to shield. I do just because. But they're just gonna go out there. Yeah, you can't just let your Politoed go down without even getting a shield. Otherwise, there's no point. So this next game versus Alivia, one of my previous Patreon supporters. So nice to see him come so far, battling with the other people at the top of the leaderboards. And this team is quite a struggle for mine. Fortunately, with Mew, you do have to shield the first one almost always because a lot of Mews are running Flame Charge. I cannot wait to get my hands on a Mew. It just feels like a shield-eating machine. Kind of extremely good. So I'm going to swap into Vigoroth here. And they're kind of staying in with their Skarmory. And I think this is partially because they know the team. Because I believe there's a Medicham in the back. And if the Medicham were to come out like a normal player would play this team, this game would be very simple, right? You would just have the Medicham come out, you'd eat it with your Victreebel with the shields. Unfortunately, that is not how this ends up working, right? Switch timer was still a bit off. I didn't want to commit my other shield to Skarmory. So in hindsight, if I'd known that, I probably should have just, or you can't even let Victreebel go down at this point. So this was just really well played from my opponent, and that's the problem now. This team has been out for so long, everyone knows exactly what the Pokemon are and exactly how you're going to play it. So while normally you would see a Vigoroth switch and immediately bring in your Medicham, they know they have to save the Medicham for the Bastiodon, right? So nobody in their right mind would otherwise be leaving their Skarmory in versus a Vigoroth would have that Medicham instead, right? So next game versus John the Savage, I believe this is either, I think he ended up first on the leaderboard or second or something like that. Like this guy is way up there. Then we're gonna see a Hypno lead, and I try to CMP tie here successfully with the Hypno just so we don't get extra through. And it wasn't actually a CMP tie. I actually got 2 more counters through because I think they were just lagging a little bit. And I'm just going to continue throwing Body Slams, making sure my charge move timing is good. I'm throwing in the middle here so they can't catch. And I'm just throwing as soon as I can now. I know I can't really take a charge move, and I'm not sold on actually taking or shielding this. The confusion will probably take me down. So CMP tie is good here. They had a ton of energy, but now that's gone, and I do have shield advantage. And they bring in their Umbreon. So, oh god, I don't know why I switched here. I guess I expected them to bring in a harder counter or something. I really should have just let my my Bastiodon take on the Umbreon, because it's likely they're switching in their second best counter for Bastiodon, because my switch is up as well. So, a bit of an unfortunate play by me, but really do consider that if they have a Hypno lead and they switch in an Umbreon, there's a good chance there's a Scrafty, right? So, Victreebel is absolutely needed to take down the Scrafty in this case. Bastiodon just can't cut it, and yeah, there's a Scrafty, right? This could have also been a very easy win, but once again, I threw this match by bringing in the wrong Pokemon. Actually, is this over? Yeah, this is pretty over. Yeah. So this is the Vergiverg team, right? Scrafty in the back. I'm actually going to be able to take down the Scrafty. Do I win this game? I win this game. So, once again, though, this is... I don't think I win this game. Once again, this is a team where the opponent plays it a different way because they know there's a Bastion on the back, right? So let's take a look. Yeah, I'm going to win this game. Okay, so I still win this game, but like think about it. If there's a Bastiodon, like if I switch my Vigoroth into a Hypno, why wouldn't you switch into Scrafty, right? It's a really hard counter to Vigoroth. Or it's not a hard counter, but it's a really good check to Vigoroth. It's much better than Hypno is. And why would you switch it? The only reason I can think of is if you know there's a Bastion on the back, right? And obviously these opponents all know. So we see Toxicroak lead here. This one is also a bit worse with the change. So I let them get a counter through, which doesn't help things. The Razor Leaf nerf. Toxicroak isn't at just life support amounts of health. It has enough health that I can't really switch to Vigoroth and take it down with counters anymore to catch that Mud Bomb. So you do end up having to spend 2 shields. This is a bit of a matchup change as well for the Toxicroak. And they're going to come with Bastion. So the reason I don't switch here is because Vigoroth and Bastion, they have a lot of similar matchups, but this is one of them where Vigoroth absolutely does much better. So I let Victreebel go down to preserve this matchup, and they're going to switch into Azumarill. So I really need to stop switching before I recognize what's going on. The play here is probably stay in with Vigoroth and throw a Body Slam first. Just get that off. Because when Azumarill exits these Bastion matches, after throwing a Hydro Pump, they can farm all the way down. So you don't want to switch right away. Especially if they have a shield. If they don't have a shield, then they can't farm all the way down, right? But they do have a shield. So they're going to be able to farm all the way down and throw Hydro Pump at Vigoroth, which is quite a big issue. If I had thrown that Body Slam before switching, it would be a much different scenario. Unfortunately, my Vigoroth is going to eat a ton of damage here. Yeah, that's what you don't want to see. And this Bastiodon is going to be able to get to a Stone Edge. So if I'd thrown that Body Slam first, would have had to take a Hydro Pump, would have been able to KO this Bastiodon. So a bit of an unfortunate game for me as well. And we're only going to win 2 this set, right? So you can see you win 2 out of 3 and you lose almost 30 points. Pretty rough. Pretty rough out there. Let's take a look at this next game. So Alolan Ninetales, this is actually a really good matchup for Victreebel. You get to Weather Ball and Leaf Blade at the same time, so make sure you're mashing that Leaf Blade button so you can CMP tie and make sure that your damage gets out there before theirs does, so they have to shield. If they don't, or if you don't, you're not going to get a shield from them, and it's going to be a waste of energy. So I actually was switching out of Alolan Ninetales in the past before I realized what was happening. And I stay in versus the Sableye, and unfortunately, I'm not able to take it down. So I have a pretty tough decision to make. I'm going into Bastiodon here. So versus Alolan Ninetales, if it's Charm, I stay in. If it's Powder Snow, I've been switching out. You can technically win the 2 shield versus Powder Snow as well. But I think that your Victreebel gets a little bit too low, and your backline is so good against the Powder Snow version that it doesn't really matter too much anyways. Versus the Charm version, stay in. Guarantee switch advantage. Nice. But we'll see what they have. They're obviously not going to be bringing in their Alolan Ninetales. And I throw a Body Slam here, in hindsight. I probably just be countering down. This is Umbreon, because I have him right where I want him in terms of his Pokemon is locked in with the Pokemon I want. And unfortunately, it's not going to be locked in there for much longer, right? So they're going to be able to switch out pretty soon here. I realized my mistake, and I'm just charging up now. I've gotten a bit low though, so this is why I'm starting to throw my moves. Body Slams off. And they're actually protecting their Umbreon, so they did have plans to switch back into their Ninetales, but just to sack it, they realized that their Bastion is incredibly weak. And I'm going to swap right into my Bastion because I'm at a Stone Edge already. So that was just my thought process there. Get this game over with as soon as possible and take this W versus this cute little Flower Crown Umbreon. All right. Next game, what do we have here versus Poop Soup? Another high-ranked player. Alolan Ninetales really started coming out the last couple days, and I think my win rate versus that lead was actually really good. So not sure how the algorithm would be calculating that. It's an Ice type versus a Grass type, right? So is that a good lead or not? I think it's a pretty good lead. But if there were an algorithm, would it be calculating? Okay. Don't talk about algorithms today. Let's just get into the gameplay. They're going to swap into Umbreon, and same thing as I do when I'm in the lead. I charge up a little bit on that Victreebel, just get that damage through. And in this case, I'm going into my Vigoroth because it is by far the worst match versus the Charm Alolan Ninetales. It's not bad. It's just Bastion and Shadow Victreebel completely dominate Charmers, right? So this core is really good against Charmers. And I'm just firing off these body slams. I'm using my charge move timing. FP Sticks just made a video about this too. Made a video about this in the past. You throw one and then body slam. Or 4 if you want. But in this case, if you already have the move, just one in body slam is great. And I'm able to take down that Umbreon without spending an addition, or yeah, without spending a shield. So no shields on either side. So good thing I did switch out because in comes Deoxys. And this Deoxys can get 5 counters off my Vigoroth, which is a pretty big deal because I only have 1 shield remaining on my Victreebel. So obviously I'm going to blow this shield here. And they're going to go for Thunderbolt, which is good. It gives me a little bit of breathing room. If they had double Psycho Boost, for example, I think this game would have been over. But I think they're running Thunderbolts and Rock Slide. And they're able to take down my Victreebel, but Bastion is healthy enough. Like, Deoxys Defense is pretty good against Bastion because counters 4 times effective. Sorry, double super effective. But, like, Bastion's just so tanky. You take down these fighters if they're low enough. So Pelipper lead. This is a pretty tough matchup now too. You have to spend 2 shields if you want to win this, which I really do. Vigoroth is okay versus Pelipper as well, but Pelipper does win every shield scenario. It wins CMP and it has the same pace, and it's for neutral instead of resisted on its fast move. So I'm going to spend that 2nd shield. And we're going to take down that Pelipper and see what comes in. So, Venusaur, and this game is over. So this is the problem with these types of teams and staying in, is you kind of have to guess what your opponent's team is. And like with the Bloody Bananas game in the past, which I'm going to call back because we're going to play him again in this video. I don't know when, but we're going to play him again in this video. If you know a team, you can do so much more against it. Alright guys, I guess I've screwed this up. I forgot to take out stuff. Alright, Valor Ash here is our next opponent. Valor Ash, incredibly good battler, and he's running Galvantula, so one of the matchups I wanted to highlight as well. I actually switch out this time because of how bad it was last time. But what happens is after the 2 lunges, your Razor Leaf start tickling, and they can sometimes get to a 3rd lunge, depending on what moves get through where. So instead, I've decided to switch out to my Vigoroth as soon as possible here. I'm blocking a lunge. They've already blocked a body slam. I'm just doing my fast move timing. I'm not trying to deny any moves. I'm just trying to be safe. I know I can outpace this Galvantula. And we CMP tie there. So this is a bit unfortunate. Because we do CMP tie, I am forced to shield and then still throw this move. But switch advantage, if I remember his team correctly, is pretty important here. So he does end up shielding. The guarantee switch advantage. I'm going to come with Bastion. Like I said, rule of thumb, come in with Bastion if you can only come in with one of the 2 Pokemon. Because then you can switch and I switch and he switches to Cloyster immediately. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get to a move on his Cloyster fast enough, so I'm going to be able to get a Leaf Blade off here. So, the match, let's talk about Glarian Stunfisk versus Bastion here for a second. He's forced to throw energy at my Victreebel. And Bastion versus Glarian Stunfisk. So, Glarian Stunfisk does not one-shot with Earthquake. Let's keep that in mind. It needs a couple mud shots afterwards as well, if not another Rock Slide. And I'm going to be able to get right to that move and take out this Glarian Stunfisk. And we're going to beat Valor Ash this time. Yeah. That was a match. I think I lost to almost that exact same team earlier by staying in with the Victreebel. But it really does depend on what's in the back, right? And reading those teams is getting harder and harder. So you see Swampert lead. This is what you love to see, but who knows? What they have in the back can sometimes be an issue. And in this case, Registeel, one of the Pokemon that beats the Victreebel Bastion core. I'm going to have to shield because I'm scared of a Focus Blast. But I'm going to go right back in with this Bulldoze. And I don't like to bait versus Registeel because most of the time they don't shield, right? Because Bulldoze seems like a waste of energy a lot of the time, and it is. It's a very bad move. But they're gonna come back in with the Swampert. They have a shield advantage, which is not too big of a deal because Victreebel should just be able to deal with Swampert. But Vigoroth is going to be able to take back some of these shields, no problem. And this Swampert is charging up for next season, I think. Getting an absolute ton of energy on it. And I was thinking about switching to kind of snipe this Swampert in all its energy. But I saw them switch, and they're going to switch to Skarmory, which is the expected Pokemon in the back with Swampert. And we're just going to lock that in with Bastion, and that's going to end the game right there. But yeah, if you see a Swampert lead, there's likely a Skarmory, so whatever they switch in, try and deal with it with your Vigoroth instead of your Bastion, right? You want your Bastion to deal with that Skarmory. The Holden McNuggets, another top tier player. I think like he's one of the only players where I won some and I've lost some against him, but I think he's rotating teams. I'm gonna swap right into Vigoroth here, and boom, Jellicent. So this is not great. Venusaur beats every Pokemon on this team as well, so Venusaur is just in general a little bit of a problem, and Holden is doing exactly what he should do. It's gonna be the Bubble Beam spam game, but he can get some farm on my Vigoroth. Because it's likely he's running Bubble Beam, and Shadow Ball. So there's no Ice Beam to really chunk me down. Bubble Beam really is, sadly, his best damage option here. I'm just trying to get as much damage as possible off on this Jellicent. And because it's not running Hex, I can't even bank a lot of energy and then switch out and try and snipe it like I did versus the other Jellicent opponent. Yeah, I do end up trying to snipe anyways. What I should have taken into consideration was that you can have a Shadow Ball and a Bubble Beam. But they switch out right away. I decided to no shield because I knew I'd be up against this Venusaur anyways. And, well, Victreebel does not do well against Venusaur, so that was a little bit of a sack. If they had used Bubble Beam, that would be great too. But they didn't. I'm going to switch into my Vigoroth, hoping that they'll throw energy, but they don't. So now it's just Bastion against the world. I have to really hope whatever's in the back is weak to Bastion, something like Alolan Ninetales or Altaria or Skarmory or something like that. And I make a really poor decision to not shield this. So this is why you got to start writing down people's teams as you play them. Unfortunately, I'm going to take a ton of damage there from that Frenzy Plant, and I'm going to take a little bit more damage here from this Bubble Beam. The worst part about this Bubble Beam is that it's going to lower my attack as well. So I still do have 2 shields, and it's Alolan Ninetales, so exactly what I was hoping for, but unfortunately I wasted I no-shielded a Frenzy Plant earlier. If I hadn't done that, I probably would have been able to take down this Alolan Ninetales. If I just committed 2 shields for the Frenzy Plants. But unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. So a little bit of a misplay here, and this was just me not reading the team correctly. If I'd shielded a Frenzy Plant, we'd be in a much better situation. But it is what it is. This next battle, we have once again Bloody Bananas. So guess what? This time I know his team. Let this be a lesson in how powerful knowing a team can be. So we're going to see Mew, right? I know it's a Surf Wild Charge Mew. Because he didn't Flame Charge last time when he had the energy. So I'm going to let this through. If it's a Surf, fine. If it's a Wild Charge, fine. I'm going to take this Mew down regardless. I think I burn it, or I get a shield here. Oh no, he just decides to go down. And that's fine. We can trade shields too, it's also fine. And because I know he's an Empoleon on the back, I can't switch out. I'm just going to let my Victreebel go down, and I just have to switch my Vigoroth in when he switches to Empoleon. So he realizes this game is over too, and if we both know each other's teams, my team counters his. There's nothing he can do about it. That's as well played as he can go with that kind of team. But that just goes to show the huge difference in knowing your opponent's team and not knowing your opponent's team. And it is a really big deal. It is a really big deal. We have a Deoxys lead. This is a lead that I've talked about before as in being much harder if they have the correct IVs. Let's take a look at how much damage these Razor Leafs do. So in this case, I think they're at 8. And they go for the second boost. Whoops. Yeah. and you can see their HP when they're at 8. They could easily go for 2 Rock Slides. In the past, you used to be able to farm down if they went just for 1 Rock Slide. In this case, they're at their second Psycho Boost. This will look like I'm going to be able to take them down in 5 more Razor Leafs. Probably not. Probably not at all. So, because of that, luckily they switch, but I would have been able to I would have been forced to switch and catch a Psycho Boost on Vigoroth or Bastiodon there. So that matchup is much worse with the Razor Leaf nerf if they have reasonable IVs on their Deoxys at all. I'm going to switch into my Bastiodon and take down this Pelipper. It's pretty important because this Deoxys is going to come back in, and the problem is this Deoxys is going to get quite a bit of energy, and it is not something that Victreebel can really come back in on once this Deoxys is loaded. So I really have to make some tough decisions here. Do I sacrifice a Victreebel, or do I sacrifice a lot of health on my Vigoroth, yes. So I decided to sacrifice my Victreebel, because then they're also forced to switch out, right? And hopefully they have something that my Vigoroth can farm down in the back. In this case, Umbreon. So perfect. We'll see how the Zero Shield goes. Vigoroth versus Umbreon. Remember, they have a Deoxys in the back too. So I do need to bank a Body Slam for when this Deoxys comes back in, because it has a little bit of energy, and Deoxys deals good damage either way. They're going to come in with another Foul Play. They've been saving up a lot of energy, and hopefully this Body Slam, if not, takes them out right here, allows me to take them down with another counter. And yes, I'll be able to bring this Body Slam into the next matchup, and we'll be able to take down this Deoxys. So despite that matchup getting a lot worse, there's still play around all this stuff, right? Like you can still beat all of these Pokemon that give you a much harder time in the lead. It's just, like I said, it's just harder. So next battle against J Beach. All these guys are leaderboard players, like front page leaderboard players. We see Sableye lead. So great for Victreebel. This is honestly probably the best lead to see, just because people love staying in with their Sableye as well. In this case, I think J Beach tries to burn my shield and then leaves into Alolan Marowak. So we played a couple times before, and I think this is the Azu Double Ghost team, but with Sableye as the lead, which is kind of interesting. Different playstyle for sure, because I haven't seen a lot of the Azu Double Ghost line. I don't think I knew this at the time though when I was playing him. So you can see I would have thrown my Stone Edge a lot earlier, because I would have known that they were going to shield. And in this case, I think do shield. Yeah, so like, I didn't know what the team was yet. So that's the reason I shield there. Versus Azu Double Ghost, you don't want to shield your Bastiodon at all. What you do is you let your Bastiodon go down, and then your Victreebel can clean up the rest of the Pokemon with just a shield. So I see this. I'm going to swap into my Victreebel right away. And luckily they swapped into their Sableye too. Otherwise I would have been in some trouble for sure. Because Azu can just get to an Ice Beam and delete my my Victreebel. But luckily I'm able to, well, with that farm I got from the Sableye, I'm able to take down this Azu, get to that Leaf Blade before they're able to get to that Ice Beam. Or Play Rough, I'm not sure if J Beach's Azu has Ice Beam. Not sure. But yeah, that's how you play that match. You got to remember, Azu Double Ghost, do not shield your Bastiodon if they switch into AWAC. Switch into AWAC, just let it go down, and then bring in your Victreebel and clean up. You bring in Vigoroth too, because it's just, like, you don't use Vigoroth in that match at all. So in this case, oh god, if I'd won this game, this would have been, oh man, yeah, watching this back is just like torture for myself. So I played this match very well, if I remember correctly. I realized I have a little bit of energy lead on this Galvantula, so I can actually win switch advantage here if I go for the fast move deny. So I'm fast move denying my Body Slams, or the Volt Switches, instead of just going for the timing. In this case, and that's because I had a 3 counter lead. So I Charge Move Tie there. But the thing is, with this Body Slam, I'm going to get the shield, or not get the shield, I'm going to win switch advantage, regardless there, right? Because I'm going to beat that Galvantula to the next move. So now Hypno is coming back in, and I know that if it has Focus Blast, the game is over. But I'm just banking that Shadow Hypno is not running Focus Blast. So I'm going to bring back in my Bastiodon. and tank that Fire Punch, and they're going to bring in Venusaur. So this is where I misplayed. I stayed in for a bit, and I tried to catch a Frenzy Plant on Victreebel. What I should have done is switch right away. Instead, if I switch right away, I can guarantee myself getting to a Leaf Blade and burning that all-important shield. Because you can tank a Sludge Bomb and quite a few Vine Whips as well. So because I didn't switch right away, I don't quite get to that Leaf Blade. And this game is going to come down to the wire. I kind of spoiled it already though. Sadness. Yeah, so they're going to come in with Hypno because their switch timer's back up now. And that's really good play on their part, watching their switch timer. But I'm only going to be able to take out their Hypno. And their Venusaur still has back down or two to go, so we'll see if... Yeah. IVs matter, guys. That shiny Venusaur lives with 1 HP, 1 HP in a dream, and there goes my dreams right there. That 1 HP. So, that's that. That's, the rest of this video. I was kind of just in awe at that point. I didn't really want to collect my set. But it is what it is. On one hand, I'm very sad because I didn't get to reach my goal. On the other hand, I'm happy because, honestly, people are getting much better at the game. And I like to think that I helped at least some people with that. If the overall gameplay is getting higher, I'd like to think that some of these videos that I'm making are helping some of you guys out there. But it is what it is, right? Also, rest in peace, my graphic up there. That's gonna have to change. Try and think of something to replace that with. But yeah, so that's it for this video and pretty much this season. There's still Kanto Cup, but ratings shouldn't be changing when that happens. So I'll still try and make some videos if I can be successful. I might stream during the daytimes as well. As I've also recently lost my job. So stay tuned for more announcements regarding that. And as always, my socials, etc., will be in the description. And thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. Honestly, you guys are what keeps me going. Appreciate it.